Hello, my beauty, or should I say Molono Bushe. Today we are doing this soft glam look. Keep watching. Jumping straight into it, I'm starting with my brows this time, which is something I recommend for someone who is fairly new at doing their own makeup. If you're still struggling, this gives you the freedom to really start over if there is a need for you to redo your eyebrows without messing up your skin. Whereas if you had started with skin, you would have a problem. I always set my eyebrows as well with a powder after using a gel to lay them down and a pencil. And then I go on with some concealer. A great tip to always follow as a beginner is to use a skin tone concealer or foundation up top. And then I go on to use the same concealer as a primer on my eyelids for the eyeshadow that I'm going to be using, continuing to blend as I go. I used my LA Girl concealer here in the shade Fawn. For the most part of this makeup look, I'm going to be using this Real Techniques brush set. I get it from Clicks. Take A Lot also has, but it's a bit more expensive there. I could safely say this is my signature makeup look, which I highly recommend for someone who's fairly new with makeup, using two colors to create a beautiful, soft, smoky eye look. I start off with the brown color on the big part of my lid, blending that as I go. I'm using a brown with a bit of a reddish undertone to it because a cool toned brown makes me look washed out. And then to transition that, I'm using an orange eyeshadow color, also from that same eyeshadow palette from Daily Diva by Tutu. You can get them on Instagram. I also go in with a clean one just to finish and blend off. And then I go in with gel liner using this all-time favorite of mine from Inglot. I find this to be very easy to control because it's a gel compared to the liquid one, and I also love that it does not move. And then in preparation for my eyelashes, I go in with mascara. I do this before putting on the falsies because I don't want my falsies to have all that mascara. I also cut them in the beginning and the end to fit my size, and also just to remove that sticky part in front that can poke the eye. And then I'll go in with some glue before putting my lashes on. The trick with this one is to look down when you apply your lashes. I look down because I don't feel comfortable closing the eye off completely because I still want to see what I'm doing. And as you can see, it's perfect because I first cut them to my size. And now to feather blend the two lashes, that being the fake and mine, I pinch them with a tweezer. And then another important part as a beginner, when you start with the eyes, you have a chance to clean underneath the eyes before going in with that primer again. The primer I'm using is from Estee Lauder. I'm focusing it on the parts where I'm most likely to crack up and I have pores. That's where I want all this smoothness. I have a line there, literally. And then I go in with my current favorite foundation. It's Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation. It does look a little bit bright here. I don't know if it's the lights, but don't you worry, it is actually a match. You will see as it oxidizes as I'm continuing with the work here. I like now to first smooth out my foundation just to spread it around the face. I noticed that I tend to use far less foundation when I do this method. Obviously, I then follow that up with blending it properly with a brush or a beauty sponge, which today I'm using a beauty sponge. And I also concentrate my foundation on the center of the face to avoid the jawline so that I don't have that demarcation line. I just go in with whatever is left on the sponge and just blend out. This also helps to prevent any transfer around the collar. And then back to my favorite concealer. I have that under my eyes to conceal and to highlight. I find that this is a very safe concealer shade for me. I will always recommend, especially for a beginner as well, to go for LA Girl. LA Girl doesn't require a lot of work, doesn't crack, does not oxidize terribly, so that's that. To contour, I'm using this foundation stick from Revlon, which has a nice cool tone to it, and therefore blends really smoothly and well to my face. Now for liquid blush, this one from Signature Cosmetics goes a long way. Just one dot does the entire thing. I start off with a brush on that and then continue to blend again with a sponge. Now to set my under eye, this busted V Beauty palette is my favorite. I use the bright shade to set my brightening concealer. I don't use a lot on this. As you can see, I just press down as little as possible. I still feel like it's quite a lot, yeah, watching this. But yeah, that's how I do it. And then I just trace out all the parts where I had put highlighter, and they under the cheekbone I didn't put any concealer. I just used the powder. And then to further set and really brighten and prevent creasing, I use the Yardley translucent powder. I also love that this powder just gives off that airbrushed finish to my makeup. I use it again on my brows just to set them because I don't like shiny brows. And now for some powder blush, I'm using this palette from one of my favorite Nigerian makeup brands. It's the Art palette. I'm going to go for the pink one. I went for the pink one today. And I do not smile when I put on my blush because I want to maintain that lifted look and feel instead of smiling and then having it drop when my face is normal. And then I also add a little bit on my nose and forehead as well. Then to go over blending everything, I use this LA Girl powder all over my face, trying to minimize any harsh lines that may be there. I want everything to be seamless in parts where I contoured, in parts where I have the highlighter, just to slightly dust that off. And now for my signature lip look, I'm going for another Daily Diva by Tutu product, which is their chalk made lipstick. I love to use this as a liner. I find it's more longer lasting than a pencil. And then on the inner part of the lips, I'm using this one from Revolution Beauty, I think. And then blend that out to avoid that harsh line, but still maintaining that ombre before going in with this lip gloss from Revlon. The shade name is I'm not too sure. I'm gonna put it on the caption, but I love a glossy finish nude lip. And now to complete the eye, I also go in with those two colors that I used on top just to smoke out the bottom part. Now back to that art palette to highlight. Yes, I still love my highlight in 2024. Thank you very much. I'll go for the inner corner of the eye and the cheeks as well. I love that dewy finish that I get from this highlighter. Otherwise, the look would be okay if it was matte, but I'm a huge fan of having that bit of a glow. I do the same on the tip of my nose as well as down the bridge of my nose where I had reverse contoured. And with that, we are done. Don't forget to subscribe.